You're listening to The Marne Report.
Well, hey, Fort Stewart, Hunter Army Airfield, Molly here with your latest edition of the Marne Report podcast. And today I am joined by a very special guest, Colonel Ryan McCormick. He is our 3rd Infantry Division Chief of Staff. Thank you so much for being on the show with me today, Colonel McCormick.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk a little bit about the Marne Hall of Fame.
Yes, I am so excited for you to tell me about the Marne Hall of Fame because I don't really understand it that much. Would you mind giving me a little bit of a background of exactly what it is?
Absolutely. So one of the things we identified about a year and a half ago as General Costanza was coming on board and some of the senior leaders were coming into the division, some having served here previously and some for their first time. What we learned is we wanted to attempt to try to reconnect some of our younger soldiers to the history of this great 3rd Infantry Division.
Sure.
As you well know, started in World War I and had some amazing achievements as it was developing all the way through today. And there's a few things we understood. Number one, we have 61 Medal of Honor winners that have been recognized,
Wow.
many of which during their service in World War II. But many of them, outside of being recognized as Medal of Honor winners, we did not have a Marne Hall of Fame. And so we wanted to rectify that, and so we established it last year in 2021 as General Costanza was coming on board, and we were realigning our Marne Ball to coincide with the Marne birthday of November 19th. And so we established the Marne Hall of Fame, where we selected some key individuals that showed not only just outstanding courage in the face of adversity or an enemy, but also showed this desire for perseverance, grit, and just adaptability, and 3 great characteristics that we want to embody in every dog-faced soldier that's serving in the division today. Mm-hmm. And so we decided hopefully we can get a twofer. We could recognize not only those great soldiers of the past that served in the division, but also look to instill some of those traits in our soldiers today as they look back at some of those great people that served in the division, just a great monument to them. And so that's kind of how the Marne Hall of Fame came about.
Wow. So this isn't like soldiers of our past. These could be soldiers that are, eating lunch right next to us every single day that are inducted into this Hall of Fame.
Well, so you got to start with an end in mind.
Yeah.
And so when you have a division that has 61
Sure.
Medal of Honor winners, but not all of them are inducted at this point. So we have a broad population to select from.
Yeah.
But we also have added a new category this year where we identify some what we're calling distinguished members of the division.
Oh, great.
And those are people who served in the division. And then as they departed the division, went on to do great things in other areas, whether it's inside the military or perhaps later on as being great citizens of the United States. And so this year we're inducting 10 of those members. Highlight, obviously, some of them former division commanders.
Sure.
Let's say the likes of General Robert Abrams, General John Murray, who recently retired and commander of U.S. Futures Command, and also most recently as well, General Terry Farrell, who has a lot of service here. General David Perkins and General Fuzzy Webster as well. So some generals that served here and went on to do great things. But we also identified a couple of other folks that we thought were also very well. Needed to be memorialized. One like Miss Mary Withers, who was a Red Cross nurse who went to France in 1918 and was at the Marne River when 3ID soldiers earned their title Rock of the Marne, but she was also there to serve and to help our soldiers that were wounded in battle.
Oh, wow.
Another one is a specialist for Zerker. Karen Zerker, who was identified as a key member of the division in the 1970s when the division was serving in Germany. Throughout the history, and if you read a great book, Against All Odds, by Alex Kershaw, he talks about these wonderful history of dog-faced soldiers in World War II. And the moniker that was given to these soldiers in World War II were Marne men. And that continued after World War II into the occupation army in Europe, and as 3ID continued to serve in Europe during the Cold War. And as we brought in more and more women into service in the United States Army, the moniker of Marne Men didn't necessarily resonate with some of the women who were serving in 3ID at the time. And she had the courage to bring this to the attention of the commanding general at the time. We actually found this article in one of the old front lines
Really?
from the 1970s. And she brought this to the attention of the commanding general and said, "Sir, not all of your soldiers are Marne men." And from then on, the moniker became Marne Soldiers.
Wow.
And so we were able to incorporate, obviously, both genders into that. And so
Sure.
we wanted to recognize her as well.
Of
as
course.
coming up and saying this to a leadership in probably a time where, there wasn't a whole lot of emphasis on that.
Sure.
And just a great ability to recognize some of our great women that served in the 3rd Infantry Division.
Well, that's just wonderful. So we've talked a little bit about what really makes some of these members so special, but I mean, like you said, there are so many people to sift through. I mean, where do you even start?
Well, that's a great. So we have a nomination process that
Yeah.
begins in April, where we open nominations for the year to submit names. We've had a great connection not only with our local community, but also the 3rd ID Society,
Oh, yeah.
who helps us identify throughout the chapters some great nominations, of which one of them was Harold Nelson, who recently received a Silver Star. He's 107 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And he received the Silver Star. The Army finally got it right and was able to find the paperwork, etc. And he was awarded the Silver Star in October by the commanding general, who went out to Fort Carson and was able to bestow that honor on him and his family. At 107 years young, he's still doing a great job. Very has a lot of vitality. But that was a find from our society, who identified him as a great dog-faced soldier, served in many of the same units. Even if you just think about the history of World War II, where there was 5 amphibious landings, he actually participated in 3 of those.
Wow.
As they were going through that, where he was wounded and then came home. But just the similar likes of Maurice Footsie Britt or Audie Murphy, some of those just people that you know by name or
Sure.
household names. But there are still plenty of those people that we want to continue to recognize.
Absolutely.
So we have a lot of people to select.
Yeah.
So there is a process for nominations, and we continue to do that. We scrub those, we review those, and by August is our goal to, as we go through the board process, to make those recommendations to the commanding general,
Sure.
who generally approves those before the summer is over, which gives us an opportunity to highlight that, and then also invite either the person who's receiving the honor or their families.
Oh, nice.
And we've created a fund through the Society of the 3rd Infantry Division that allows us to help fund travel and bring some of
Nice.
those family members back to these events.
Wonderful. So you mentioned the ball. Is there an induction ceremony for, the new Hall of Fame inductees?
Yeah, so it's in conjunction with the ball. So a
Okay.
part of the ball program is this induction ceremony that we'll do.
Sure.
We're going to split it up this year, where we'll do the distinguished members of the division in a private ceremony right before the ball.
Okay.
And then during the ball itself, we'll induct the 9 members this year of the class of 2022
Wow.
into that, of which Paul R. Smith from Operation Iraqi Freedom 1,
Sure.
and then obviously Sergeant First Class Alwyn Cash, who recently received the Medal of Honor last year,
Yep.
will be inducted into the class of 22 as well.
Awesome. Very well deserved then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me how all of this fits in with Marne Week.
Yeah, so we thought, no better time to do it to incorporate this into Marne Week.
Yeah.
Obviously, the ball is the
Right.
the capstone event, so to speak, of this, and our goal is to start recognizing these folks more and more as there are naming opportunities. For example, one of the things the commanding general asked us to do is look for opportunities to rename some of our gates
Sure.
after those people that came before us and,
Yeah.
and are just amazing people that we want to memorialize, number one, but also to continue to recognize their efforts and a lot of their heroic actions that they took, and to celebrate those, not just on a one time, but to remind ourselves and the soldiers that there are people out there that did great things, and we stand on the shoulders of giants. And we do that as part of our patching ceremony as well.
Sure.
Once a week, as we get new soldiers into the division, and we put the 3ID patch on them. We also highlight some of the people that came before them to let them know that, number one, they are very, very lucky to be in the 3rd Infantry Division, but also that we do stand on the shoulder of giants, and we have an opportunity and an obligation not only to recognize them, but to move forward and hopefully show some of the attributes that they did while they were facing adversity or in some hard times.
Sure. So you said nomination process. So if, just anyone on this installation, if they can think of anyone that they would like to nominate for this Marne Hall of Fame, certainly they can do that. They can go online and pull the packet and submit that.
Absolutely, right? It's
Wow.
on our Garrison webpage. It's tied to there. There is a one form that you have to fill out.
Great.
We ask you also submit a photo of the individual,
Sure.
right? So as we go through the selection process, we can highlight that. And then our overarching goal, we're not there yet this year, but we're working for that, is to create a Marne Hall of Fame display here in the headquarters.
Oh, nice.
That will represent the Hall of Famers, those that did something specifically in the division
Sure.
while they're here, and then also the distinguished members of the division. That's those individuals that served in the division maybe just a year, but then went on to greatness, not only in the military but throughout their careers. So a broad venue where we could recognize some folks, and then also to include our Marne rock stars.
Yeah.
Those people in the community who we celebrate, that go above and beyond and giving back to the 3ID, our soldiers in the community.
Sure. Now tell me a little bit about the Marne Rockstar program, because people can be nominated for that as well, right?
That's right. So the Marne Rockstar program is a great opportunity for us to identify some people in our community, whether it's here in Hinesville or Greater Savannah area, to include Richmond Hill. Generally speaking, they're connected with the 3ID in some form or fashion. Either they served previously or they were served here as a civilian employee on the installation. And it's just a great recognition to, number one, show them that we appreciate their support and their continued support to not only the 3rd Infantry Division, but the Greater Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield.
Yeah.
And then we just give them that recognition, and we always invite them back, and they have they always have an invite to any of our key events. And we have some wonderful rock stars that are at every event, whether it's a change of command, whether it's one of the many ceremonies that we do, the Marne Tattoo, where we celebrate our history. And they are always available, usually to give their time and volunteer as well. So
Sure.
just a great opportunity to recognize the Marne rock stars.
Sure. So to close it out, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, no, just the class of 2022 will be unveiled at the Marne Ball, the Marne Soldier Ball, on December 2nd during the program of events, and we'll open nominations for the class of 2023 on April 15th, Tax Day. We'll look to make the final selections no later than mid-August as we present nominations to the Commanding General.
Awesome. Well, everybody, if you're looking for those nomination forms, make sure that you head over to home.army.mil/Stewart. That is where you can find those. Colonel McCormick, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me today. Everybody, we hope to see you out at Marne Week. And we hope to see you at the ball, too. All of that information can also be found on the website. And again, thanks so much for being on the show.
Rock of the Marne.
All right, we will talk at you again next time. This is Molly, signing off.
The Department of Defense On-Post Housing Tenant Satisfaction Survey is in full swing. Your feedback is a crucial part of improving the quality of life in Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield housing. Residents should have received a link to the survey in the email they have on file with the housing office. Don't miss out on this awesome opportunity to let your voice be heard.